Welcome everyone to the Electrical Culture of Safety Livewire program, where we delve into all the complexities of creating a culture of safety within the electric utility industry. In each episode, we feature interviews with subject matter experts, industry leaders, safety professionals, and field personnel from across the industry, where we discuss ways to develop a collective reflection of the perception, attitudes, and shared experiences of the safety culture within our industry. Welcome to ECOS Livewire.
All right, everybody. Welcome to ECOS Livewire. Appreciate you all being here. And we have a special guest today, Mr. Jamie Sundberg, Manager of Safety Operations with Upper Peninsula Power Company. And I met Jamie and did some training with them last April 2024. And I really enjoyed witnessing their safety program and how they work and thrive together, cultivating and elevating the line team within their utility, and very impressed. And I talked to Jamie back then. We had a couple of dinners together, night before and then night after the training. And I got to talk with them and their crews as far as how they approach safety. And it was just wonderful to hear the things they did. But before we bring Jamie on, let me go ahead and share with you his biography here. With over 20 years of service in the electrical utility industry, Jamie brings firsthand experience and expertise to the realm of safety. Beginning as a lineman, Jamie progressed through various roles, including systems operations, technical training, supervising, and presently in the capacity of manager of safety operations at the Upper Peninsula Power Company. Having a strong foundation of practical knowledge, Jamie holds a Jouneyman Lineman Certificate, creating a deep understanding of the demands of working in the field. This hands-on experience is complemented by academic achievements, including an associate degree in electric transmission system technology and a bachelor's degree in workplace leadership. Driven by a commitment to safety within the industry, Jamie is currently pursuing a master's degree in occupational health and safety. Additionally, Jamie holds certification and a certified utility safety professional, that's CUSP, a statement to the dedication to ensure the well-being of others. And the CUSP, the CUSP, I'd recommend that you folks really look into that and attend the incident prevention safety conferences, and send linemen there too, and apprentices once in a while. Highly recommend that. It's a great gathering, very important and heavy topics. As a safety professional and experienced utility worker, Jamie provides practical wisdom and academic insight to deliver engaging presentations that educate, inspire, and empower audiences, drawing from real work experiences and comprehensive understanding of safety protocols. Jamie is passionate about creating a culture of safety, excellence within organizations, driving positive change, and safeguarding the lives of those in the electrical utility industry and beyond. And we welcome you aboard, Jamie. Appreciate everything. It's a nice biography, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brent. When you put it together, it sounds good, and I'm hoping I can live up to it.
Yeah, well, from what I've seen, as far as spending some time with you personally together and your team there at UPPCO, the results are evident, easy to measure, easy to gauge, and boom, man, it's awesome. I appreciate you coming on board.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I think this is a great opportunity to spread safety and talk about what others are doing in the industry and to have that conversation with each other.
Yeah. So you gave some of your biography. So you told us kind of your line life story right there. And how you're continually learning. I really enjoy that. And that's a great example for the rest of us as far as not being satisfied with where we're at. So like, what's your inspiration? Share with us some of that personal inspiration and personal testimony, that fortitude to keep you running, man.
Yeah, I'll kind of explain how I got here. I spent 12 years on a line crew, and I had a pretty major injury outside of work that caused partial paralyzation in my left arm. And so what it did is made me change what I was going to do for a career, change my life, change my attitude. And I decided at that point I needed to leave line work because I could no longer do it. With that, I went into a system operations role. I decided I should educate myself in system operations. So I decided I'm going to get a 2-year degree. Liked getting the education and continued on to get my bachelor's degree. I was offered the safety role because of my experience in system operations and on the line crew. And I thought if I could change one person from having the same incident that I had, or if I could save somebody from being injured or hurt, that I was going to do it. And the safety manager role allows me to have a voice and allows me to share my information with others. So with that, I decided, I also want to continue my education. Figures, I'm going to get my master's degree now in occupational safety and health.
You've given us a lot of meat here as far as what went on in your head and how you as a line worker, how you have improved and how you have evolved. And so this evolution that you've gone through and you're continuing to go through, getting better and better and trying to improve the lives of others and the safeties of others around you. How has that approach, how have you brought that into UPPCO?
Yeah, what we're doing here is really a culture of sharing. And I fully believe that if we share incidents, if we share near misses, close calls, even things that happen at home, that we're going to protect somebody, we're going to save someone. And there's things that I've shared that somebody might not think it's important to them, but one person will come up to you and say, you know what, I changed my behavior. I recognized a hazard and I made it safer for myself or for my family. Here at Uppco, we don't care if you're hurt at home or if you're hurt at work. It still affects your life personally, whether physically or mentally. We're really focusing on the mental health portion of it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like the mental health and the well-being of your crew members, and not looking and being showing care and compassion, empathy for them, not only on the job but off the job, I believe is crucial for the buy-in and that interconnection. And you all work on that quite a bit as far as interconnection and showing them that you do care. And so, but that's not typical. Unfortunately, it's not typical. So how can we get this? What steps should somebody take that's maybe in your position or thinking about a role that's similar, or the CEO, or that trickle down from the top down? How can we work on our folks to get that buy-in, to care about each other, not only on the job, but off the job? That's so important.
It is, and it starts from the top down. We have a CEO right now who is really engaged. He said that safety is going to run our company. And what he means by that is if our employees are safe, mentally, physically, they have to be here, whether that's physically, but we want them to be here mentally as well. So his goal is to have all of our employees safe, which they're going home and they're carrying that with them. They're happy. It's just morale is a lot better. So from top down leadership, we have it here. And that is really what he stresses mostly, is like, we care about your safety, and that's everything else is going to follow, right? If we care about our employees, we care about what they're doing here at home, our company will be successful based on that.
Yeah, no, that's a neat thing. So what's interesting is Mr. Graydon, when I showed up and did the training for you all, he actually attended. He actually was at a table and he attended with the rest of the crews. And man, I tell you what, I've had that happen a few times. Unfortunately, maybe 5% max. And it's so rare, but it is so very important that he mingles and he's part of that safety, because you can say it all you want. But if you don't have time for your guys you talk about safety, but if you don't have time to show them that it's true, I believe actions are way stronger than words. Way. And he did. And that's impressive. And you could see the respect that you folks had for him as a CEO, and he returned that respect equally to everybody else too. And you can feel that in the room. You could feel that engagement.
100%. And that's what he wants, right? He wants to know everybody's name. Once he finds out somebody's name, he doesn't forget it. And he's the type of CEO that will see you out in the public, could be 500 feet away, and he's going to walk over to you and say, "Hey, how are you doing? How are things at work? Can we help with anything?" And he practices what he preaches, and he follows through. So when he says that safety is non-negotiable, he means it, and he cares about it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. So basically, what's neat is learning the folks' names, learning each other's names. So safety is a personal thing, and when we build up an ego or a personification of who we are, we're so great. We know our work. We're better than everybody else, and you start the isolation and insulating from one another. You don't have that connectivity, but you have to make time, and you have to let them know they're valuable and they're worth that investment. And
correct. And so one thing that he brought to me was, you know what, I want somebody closer to the work. I'm not a classic safety guy. I went up through the ranks as a lineman, and did all the silly things that linemen do at times. So I know what folks are going to do, and I can walk people through that. So he's like, I want somebody who's closer to the work and who can be engaged with the employees, have those conversations that maybe a career safety person wouldn't know happens.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what's neat about what you all do is we talked about the training, and how you keep the guys abreast on the training, and it's just a continuing practicing and all that. But what I noticed with you guys, it did kind of set you all apart quite a bit, is that you all practice and you all train not just the physical skills, not just being out in the field and doing things right, but as far as practicing and training, connecting with each other and caring about each other. That's a skill. That's a skill set that typically is not fostered and is not very prevalent in our industry. And so that's a powerful statement that you all perform on a daily basis. That's what I saw.
Yeah, and it's continual, right? We have our separations, and sometimes a building that's 200 feet away seems like it's 5 miles away. It's just trying to bring people together and training. And we include our substations and hydro folks along with our line crews in a lot of those trainings. So the ones that you were involved in, we had those folks in those trainings. And same thing with our FR clothing, arc blast training. Mm-hmm. We're including our groups together just to have that communication, just to have that talk. Hey, how is your family doing? What are you doing after work? And then you end up having conversations about the work that you're doing for the day, but then also you're connecting with others.
Yeah. So it's not just saying, hey, I'm a journeyman lineman. It's not just saying, hey, I'm an apprentice. It's not just saying, hey, I confirm that this skill qualified and I've proven it. But you're going to the level of getting to know each other as far as the person. And man, that's just a beautiful thing, man, right there.
And we're fortunate, we are a small company. We have roughly 200 employees, 40 some linemen, and we're 80 some field folks. Mm-hmm. Right? So we're fortunate that we're small and we have that ability to get together a lot. I think we need to do it more. And bigger plans later on is we're developing a stretching program, ergonomics program, and would love to just have the groups set up in the morning, have those conversations, stretch together, drink some coffee, and just start the days out right.
Yeah, bringing the different departments together, the different workplace environments together, and sharing that group mentality as far as teaming up. I believe that needs to happen more often, even though somebody might say or think in their mind that it's not really important. But when people see that and they experience that, once they break away from that team environment, that team mentality is carried into that specific group or that specific department all across the board. So that's powerful too.
Yeah, 100%. We look at every employee has a voice. We want them to gather together and, speak their minds and let us know what's going on, what's bothering them, and then seeing if we can help them in any way possible. We know that, coming here mentally prepared is just as important coming here physically.
Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of line wisdom. I remember when I was with you all after the training, you all had some work methods meetings, and you invited me to participate. And it was neat to see how you spoke, and you went through everybody together, how you all went through the different line items to get to the end. But the conversation, I really like this, Jamie. The conversation was inclusive, and it was encouraged that everybody participate equally. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we have a couple teams and committees that we do that with. Line work methods is one of our biggest ones, where we bring linemen we have 7 districts. Hopefully we have a lineman from each district that shows up, and they're part of a team to help build our standards, help walk through our safety rules. And every one of them is bringing something from their work group. If there's 14 guys, one of them is representing that 14, and they're bringing all the issues, they're bringing all the standards and everything they need from that group to the line work methods. And it's put together as an agenda from that group as well. And we continue on. We look at standards, parts, tools. If we want to bring in different gloves or tools, those guys are bringing it to us, and we're going to trial them out. So that buy-in comes from that group and them having a voice. We hear you, and we're doing something about it.
Yeah.
We also do the same thing with our safety team. So our safety team is a group of metering folks, substation linemen, and management. I think it's 8 and 8 of union and management. And same thing, we're taking their input from the union side of things and the management side of things, and we're building something together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, man, you guys are like the poster child of line team, kind of, sort of. Kudos to you all, man.
We're working on it.
Yeah. So this had a beginning. In other words, there was a time when the same old approach, the old school approach, was somewhat there as far as your culture. So what took place, man? What took place? How long ago did you all get together and say, hey, we got to do something a little different? How did the evolution, because there was a beginning, so kind of take us back, kind of as far as your understanding, when that beginning took place.
Yeah, so I've been here 21 years, and within that 21 years, we've been, we bought out. We were part of a large corporation at one point, so we didn't have any safety resources here other than kind of our managers, supervisors. Our safety resources were in a different state. 2015, I believe it's 2015, we branched off on our own. And when we branched off on our own, we had to develop all of our processes, all of our departments. We had to build a new system operating department, new safety department, right from scratch. And what that did is it allowed us to kind of do our own thing. I'm sure you heard of Living Zero. We had a Living Zero with the corporation that owned us before. And when we branched off on our own, we couldn't take that over because it was their program.
Yeah.
So 2015-16, when we branched off on our own, we said, you know what, we need to do something of our own. And what is it? So our safety team got together at that point and developed our new logo. It was, powering safety, and it was the UP, and it was designed by our safety team. So we got three participants that put in for it. Like a bunch of people put in for it, but we took 3 of them and combined our logo, creating what we have now, powering safety. So that's kind of our mantra, is powering safety. And, you know, it's not allowing, we don't allow any at-risk behaviors at home or at work.
Yeah.
And we don't want anybody to get hurt. You know, so it's kind of started the bill out there, as in, we're growing as a family. We want to be a family. We don't want to be a large corporation. We don't want, you know, Jamie to be a number. We want him to be Jamie. And so we want to go up and say hi to him, and, you know, not from afar.
Right.
And that's how we're building it right now. And we want to grow, you know, as a family. As I know everybody, you know, as you know, families don't always get along all the time. And one thing that I used, Brent, that you said before, which is really great, is, you know what, I might not like you today. I might not hate you, but I love you and I care about you and I want you to be safe. And I've used that since then, because I fully believe in it, that, you know, if I'm having an issue with my family member, that's fine. But if somebody else has an issue with my family member, we have beef.
That's right.
If that's electricity, if that's a roadway accident, incident, then that's who I want to fight, not my family.
Yeah. So, man, that's beautiful. I remember you all showing me the logo, and you sent me home with a couple pairs of your green and white socks. I still have those today, by the way. I actually was going to wear them, but, you know, everybody will be looking at my feet kind of weird, so I didn't bring them. But they're high socks, or those long socks, because you guys get some cool weather, so that makes sense. So they're not ankle socks, that's for sure.
No.
So I appreciate that.
It has to go by the snow.
Right. But so your approach to safety is the correct approach. It's the smartest, the most wise and intelligent approach. And it's dynamic to the point to where you don't hit safety straight on. Okay. What you do is you hit straight on connecting. You hit straight on teaming. You hit straight on getting to know each other. And then what happens, and so many folks, as if they have, you've got to do this law, and you got to keep this rule, and you got to climb a certain way, and here's how you rescue, let's change out that arm or reconductor. But we got to be safe. And the thing is, the way you all approach it from that angle, as far as team, is safety is not the target zero. It's not. The target you guys are looking for is coming together as a team, and then safety becomes the byproduct automatically. And man, if we could get to that approach nationwide, I mean, worldwide, with all of our line teams throughout the world, this place, I tell you what, would be a much safer place. So tell us a little bit about taking the approach from the safety's the back door, not target zero.
Correct. So, you know, proactive, we're really proactive here by having the safety shares and making our guys comfortable with speaking to myself or their supervisor or manager, and bringing up issues, bringing up safety risks or hazards that come up, or an incident, you know, that may have threatened them. If they share it, and they know they're not going to get in trouble further, they know we're not going to, you know, look down and fire somebody for sharing something, right? They know it's going to affect somebody in a good, positive way. And we've done that here quite a bit, and our folks don't know it, but we've had some safety shares from folks that went out to other companies, other industries, that allowed them to be safer. And that's what we're trying to get at here. Because even here at Uppco, sure, we care about our employees 100%. We care about their safety, but it's not fully about that too. We care about the public. We care about other folks that are working around us. And we just have to come together and make sure we're all on the same page with it. Knowing that, okay, let's share these things, knowing we're going to affect somebody in a positive manner.
Yeah, so let's go to that. So participation, you all encourage participation. We have that new apprentice. All right. He's coming on board. He started working with you all for a few weeks. But he's a little shy. He doesn't want to talk. He just wants to do his job. He's not used to this environment. Maybe he came from a broken home. And he's not used to an environment of caring for one another. What do we do with that guy? How do we reach that guy right there, or that gal? How do we reach them to bring them into the fold? How do we do that?
It's the inclusion part, right? Making sure that they know that we're there from. The biggest thing that I found out is trust is everything. If somebody trusts you, they're willing to open up, they're willing to speak. Not everybody's an open speaker. Not everybody is a leader from the get-go, right? It's not the case. Sometimes we throw somebody in leadership positions and just expect that they're going to be leaders without giving them the skills. So those types of people we really have to work on and be around for them. Now, if they're really close and they get tight with a journeyman or a leadman within their group, that's a great start. They'll start to expand, hopefully, as they grow and understand that we do care for them and that we do trust them. So that I think that's the big part of it, to getting those folks to open up, is really just finding how to connect with them. And it could be family, it could be, maybe they did have a rough upbringing, which, I fully understand, and being able to empathize with them and just having some of that emotional intelligence to understand what he's going through and or what type of person they are.
Yeah. So what you do, what you're talking about is you're trying to encourage that mode instead of dismissiveness and excuses and blame and just not being together with everybody. You're trying to encourage that discovery mode to where people are curious. Like, man, these guys get along great. These guys communicate well. I'm not used to this. But you're encouraging that skill set, and you're trying to input that into their consciousness and encourage them to join up, man. This is how we roll. And so you're trying to create that discovery mode in that person's mind.
Yep. And I think, part of myself and the role that I'm in, our technical supervisor, the role that he's in, we came up through the ranks as an apprentice, as journeyman, and we know the personalities, we know the attitudes, and sometimes really, really good, sometimes really, really bad. Maybe folks are just really, really quiet and they want to do their own thing and not be heard and not be said and not volunteer for anything. So what we do with those guys is we understand there's a lot of silent leaders. It's just getting them to understand that they're a silent leader, even though they don't speak up, they don't say a whole lot. But by the work that they do, and people are watching them, they're leaders, right? Without even knowing it. And it's just getting them to understand that and to buy into it. So what we'll do is with those quiet folks is kind of on the side, you'll give them a little nudge, you'll mess with them a little bit just to gauge where they're at. And once again, it's just trying to get that personal connection. And every time you see them, maybe you make a little smart comment to them, or, because I can speak lineman a little bit, and I hope I don't lose it, but we have those conversations and I can kind of nudge them and say something silly that, might get them to say, this guy's okay.
Mm-hmm. No, that's neat. So when I was there with you, we had a couple of little private conversations, but one private conversation between you and I wasn't quite so private in the fact that I asked you, because I was very impressed with your culture, your structure, and basically your human standards as far as relating to one another, just being a human with each other. And I asked you, I said, Jamie, would you mind that if some folks needed to reach out for some guidance and some line wisdom, basically, would you mind that if I send them to you and they can reach out? And you said, yeah, man, just have them reach out. So
anytime.
That offer's still good?
100%.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Here's one thing that I like to put on training is I bring up stats, I bring up numbers, and I always say, you know what, I don't care about the stats and numbers. I don't, because that is somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's uncle, who knows, but they're affected. physically, mentally, and then also, their family is as well. So it's not a number. It's not somebody that, that got shocked and died that we see on stats. It's a person. And, it's really getting people to see that. When I put on safety meetings, I'll put someone's name up there, their age, and say, listen, do you have kids this age? Do you have somebody that that is this age? And if we can correlate that, then maybe those guys or folks are going to go out there and be a little safer today because they care about someone in their life.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, all right. So we're training skills. We're training skills today, and we're out in the yard, or we're out in the field, but we're doing some skill training. We don't have any outages. Are not changing out anything, but we're training skills today. Do you all have a process? And I know you all do this with your crews during the day, but when you're actually these safety meetings, the getting together as far as the skills, do you all talk about leadership skills and communication skills as far as the subject matter, as far as learning a particular skill set?
This is something that we really want to work on. We've talked about the continuous improvement of our company. And once again, just because we put somebody as a lead lineman doesn't mean they've had training or skills. Some people are really natural at it. Others need some training. And, one of the reasons I got my bachelor's degree in leadership, workplace leadership, was sure, I felt like I was a decent leader, but it just helps those skills. And that's one thing we want to focus on now, is getting those folks some of those extra skills that they need to be leaders. So currently right now, when we're putting on training sessions, a lot of times you'll see those leaders pop out from groups. Maybe they're silent in the back, and they might be the first one who they volunteer or they speak up. And those are the ones I want to reach out to, because all of a sudden you get a silent leader who steps up, and then everybody else follows that. So just really trying to get those folks out there, and us personally, we really want to get some of that leadership training out to our folks.
Yeah, wow. There's a lot of topics here, man. If you break these down, each little paragraph that you shared with us, or a couple paragraphs you shared with us, man, I mean, they're a topic in their own, as far as being aware. We're taught to be situationally aware, but the skill set of being situationally aware of the emotions of a person and the consciousness of where they're at on the crew, and to focus in on a person that maybe they're having debt issues, financial troubles, marriage issues. And we need to be situationally aware, because as we do a job brief, we look for a hazard on a particular job when we're there on site. The situational awareness of somebody going through trauma of whatever type can be actually a hazard that should be identified and mitigated, if not removed. How do we do that?
Yeah, so education, right? Breaking down that stigma. One thing that we did last year, probably we're going to do it again this year, and I'll invite you to it, is we had a safety days, a 2-day event, and it focused on mental health in the workplace, psychological safety. And really what it was is bringing folks in who could help educate our employees, and saying, you know what, today might not be your day. You might be dealing with something with a family member, a child, maybe a death in the family, and you don't have it. You know what? You're staying down today. You're not going up in the air. And it takes somebody who's really brave to come out and say, I don't have it, because of what I have going on at home right now. And I guaranteed there's not a person out there that's not going to say that. There's a guarantee there's going to be a person that just says, yep, I got you. You're my brother. I'm going to take care of you. Right. We can't hide these types of things.
No.
Because you're right. If you go up and you're working primary, you're doing some transmission switching, transmission work, and you're not there mentally, that's when accidents happen, right? You got stuff going on at home that really affects you terribly, and it could affect the workers you're working with. One thing I'd like to bring up is there might be a day you're walking by someone in the hallway, you say hi to them and they don't say hi back.
Yeah.
It's not because that guy's being a jerk or that person's being a jerk. Well, maybe, right? But they're maybe dealing with something that you don't know about. We never know what's going on in a family, and people struggle all the time. Even though they may look strong, there are things that are happening that cause their employees and people issues.
Yeah, I think when we read these reports, the reports made, and a root cause analysis is typed up, and a consensus is achieved. From what I found out, the ignoring the true situational awareness, looking at the physical proof and the physical evidence at the job site, but not dealing with the what's happening at home thing, not dealing with that once possibly losing their home because they can't make their house payment, or their mind is focused on they just got married and they have a beautiful wife. If they topped out as linemen for the first time, they're going to go in and sign the mortgage papers for their first home. So it's not just the bad things. It's not just the negative things that could cause an incident. It's also focusing on, oh man, I got a new lift on my truck. You're up there, repairing, putting together that transformer, wiring the banks or whatever. And you're thinking about that 4-wheel drive truck that you're getting a new lift kit on while you're doing the work. So it's not necessarily the negative things that cause these. It's our mind itself being focused on what I call distractive line work, period. Anything.
I agree. And, cell phones are a major deal. I've seen where we've had guys that are, like you said, looking for trucks. They're checking things out, and all of a sudden they're in a bucket and they're jumping on their phone and looking at Facebook or whatever it is to try to find a vehicle. And it's like, okay, that's not the time, right? Make sure it's the right time. Right now is not. We have to get rid of those distractions when we're doing this type of work.
Yeah. It's weird. Several years ago, I went up to Ohio doing training for the electric cooperatives of Ohio. And there was this one stretch of freeway that headed toward the lake. I got a map here, but I can't see what lake that is, but it's a big lake. And there's one stretch of highways, beautiful, beautiful country. And there were signs saying for several miles, this is a distraction-free zone. And it's like, why do we even have to put up a sign like that? You remember that country song, Here's Your Sign?
Yeah.
I don't know. You might be younger than me, so you may not remember, but here's your sign. And it's like, why do we need signs like that saying this is a distraction-free work zone, driving zone? But, we need to be aware of the signs, like you're saying.
Agreed,
So,
100%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got to be aware of these signs and bumping into each other. Someone's looking down at something, like you said, at their phone, and they're not paying attention. It's like, man, these are signs, and we got to remind each other, hey, man, you said you had my back this morning, but by you doing that is proving to me that right now, for this moment, you're not being mutual accountable to me. And if you're not being mutual accountable to me, that's a hazard. We need to talk about this.
Yeah, I agree. And, really line work, if you look at it, there's a bravado around it. Like, I've got this, I'm strong. I'm able to do something that other people can't, right? So you have a great mentality about you getting through an apprenticeship or even going through an apprenticeship. I'm climbing 80, 90-foot poles. I'm touching 7,200 volts. I'm switching 138,000 or even more. It's a tough job, right? And it really takes a special person, to say, I'm struggling, I need help, I can't go up. It really does, because of the bravado that we carry.
Yeah, so you're kind of getting into another realm here, and as far as we're told over and over, and I might have said this to your group, we're told over and over that we hear that line work is about the 8th most dangerous job on the earth. And and I think I shared with you guys, you may, I'm starting to actually remember some of what I said. That's weird. But I shared with you all that the only reason why line work is one of the most dangerous professions on this earth is because we believe it is. And we are what we believe. So if we believe something is super dangerous, then we basically believe we work in a dangerous work environment. But if we have connection as a team and we're gelling and we have synchronicity as a team, then honestly, and we're watching the situational awareness as far as the well-being of one another. Everybody's doing the right thing. Is it still, honestly, do we need to still believe it's the most dangerous job on the earth if we're all connected?
And I think at one point, if you looked at when line work first started, and we didn't know a whole lot about it, and people were dying nonstop because of it. At that time, yes. Now, I believe the processes, work procedures, work groups, safety cultures have really made it a pretty safe career choice at this point. I mean, guys, it's still dangerous and people could die if they make mistakes. But I believe if you're connected to your work group, you have someone up in a bucket or someone on the ground looking out after you, somebody inside of the office that is making sure that things are done right procedurally wise, then it's pretty safe. Like you said, you got a guy in a bucket next to you saying, hey, I'm going on a phase right now. Don't go on anything else. This is what we're doing. We have a great tailboard, identifying all the hazards, mitigating those hazards. You know what? We're going to be a lot safer in this job than we are, especially if we're connected as a work group. Even if you're, like I said, even if you're fighting that morning or the night before, you need to come together when that work starts.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. So you sent me an article about a year ago, and it was called "Why Do We Test for Absence of Voltage?" And do you mind if I share this? I won't share names.
Please do.
Okay. All right. So this is going to be very general. All right. Very short. Very short. So the line worker, he stated, I spotted a tap fuse down at pole location, fill in the blank, and he called the blown fuse. And in the process of patrolling, they went to the homeowner and asked the homeowner how long they'd been out of power. And the homeowner was surprised at that question because they were energized. They had plenty of power. And so the folks, the line worker, his crew, they were kind of perplexed. It's like, what the heck's going on here? So they wanted to find the root cause of this. Why are they energized? They shouldn't be. And this is interesting. So he says, I flew the bucket up to inspect and found that the tail from the blown fuse had swung into the energized cutout and welded itself there, creating a parallel path and re-energized the line. So this is your crew sharing a good catch. That's what this is all about, a good catch. And it's amazing where we can have the situation that, oh, it's never going to happen. And we assume that it's this or something, it's that. But your line worker here, the good catch, he did not assume. He went to the homeowner. It's like he assumed they were out of power. They weren't. So assumptions, that's it. Okay. And this guy here, he's going to find out why. He wants to know the why. How is this happening? And he wants to know the why. He knows there's a why. No assumptions. He wants to know it firsthand. And so he takes his time and he finds this. And that's that good catch. Tell us all about your good catch policy.
Yeah, so I call it sharing all things safety, right? So we have a jot form set up, and really the approach was it kind of like we've been talking is what happens in one district has to be shared out through the other districts. So this was a great catch by that work group. They identified that two cutouts were too close to each other. That tap, the tail and the fuse blew over and swung into the other cutout, energizing that line. Fortunately, the line was not on the ground. It was probably outage due to snow loading. But once we shared that out to all the work groups, we then had a line work methods meeting and talked about that construction, talked about those standards, and talked about the importance of testing for absence of voltage. That's how that program works. That's how sharing all things safety, that's how it works within a company. If you're willing to share those things, it's beneficial to everybody. So that's really what we've focused on a lot. Not about accidents, but we're talking about the proactive safety shares. Last year, I think we had 125 proactive safety shares. Not all of them are like they might be stuff that happens at home. They might be a manager saying, hey, this road is blocked off, don't go this way, right? But that's a proactive safety share. It causes somebody to rethink how they're doing things. Now instead of going down a constructed road that's blocked off, they're taking a different way. Now instead of just going and patrolling a line, they're looking and testing. They're not going to throw grounds on unless they test that. And that's the perfect reason why, and that's why we're trying to really focus on those safety shares.
And it's equal. You're sharing these with all your districts. You all cover, you're not a large investor owned, but you all cover a pretty good sized footprint, a lot of rural, but you make it a point that you all are sharing this equally with all your districts.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we have like 50 some thousand customers, but we're spread out over, we have 7 districts, and from one end to the other, we're around 5-hour drive time. So it covers a lot of distance. Most of our lines are rural. We're right in the middle of the woods. So we're doing a lot of climbing. We have track machines. They didn't build lines right down the road. They just kind of said, this looks good, we're building it that way. Right. So our employees are dealing with a lot of treacherous areas.
Yeah. It's a neat story. You all have a neat story. A lot of folks I've been to where there's 7 districts in a large cooperative or municipality that has several investor owns that have some more than several. And it is amazing how going from one yard to the next group, it is amazing that I'm telling you, man, and I don't know, you may not have seen this or in your travels, maybe you have, but the cultural difference sometimes from one place to the other can literally, a 1-hour drive, or like you're saying, a couple hour drive in some of these areas. They can be night where the moon's shining, an hour from there. Okay, it's nighttime, it's dark. Let's just say that. And then you go to the next district, an hour, 2 hours away, the next service center, and it's day, man. It's noon, everything's happening, and you can feel it. It's a vibration, a frequency, and it's energy, and you can actually feel that. So is that something, that energy that you're looking for in your people? Are you looking, you know what I'm talking about? Do you seek that? And if you don't feel that, do you seek a way to reattach them to that, refine themselves to that energy? So we're having synchronicity.
Yeah, 100%. If we go from one district to another, there's a change, right? And sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm in this group's home right now, and they don't want me here, right? So it's trying to bring them back. Maybe they're dealing with some issues that other districts aren't. Maybe there was a incident that popped up that they feel wasn't handled correctly. And as you know, people, that stuff goes kind of crazy. So education and then communication is the big thing, right? One of the big things that we're trying to focus on here, if there's an incident somewhere, we're going to share it as soon as possible. Even if it's something we don't have a lot of information on, let's share it so we get rid of the rumor mill. Because that's the worst thing. What happened to that site? What happened in that site. But the other work groups, they don't know, and they can only just assume and think, and then that creates, a trust issue. And you just got to bring that work group back, go over there, have those conversations, be there for them, answer the questions, right? Sometimes the questions aren't ones you want to answer, but you answer them to build that trust and to allow them to say, you know what, the company does care. Because of course that happens at places and at sites at times where Some folks may feel, hey, we're out of a different district, and the company doesn't come here very often, and maybe they don't care about us as much. That's not true at all. But sometimes you got to get rid of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta remove that. That's for sure. Recreate that circuit, right?
Correct.
Re-energize, recreate that circuit. You don't want to be disconnected. You got a blown fuse. You don't want that blown fuse happening.
And the only way to be connected is to be present there,
Mhm.
right? You can't be connected from afar, because you do the same thing as somebody in management, is you assume that things are going on. And what I find out is when you go to different sites, it's not as bad as what people are saying, and those folks just want to have a conversation.
Yeah, that's right. Be heard, be
Mhm.
valued, right?
Correct.
So you talk a lot about the investing. You talk a lot about bringing folks together, participation, inclusion, a lot of that. And basically, what I've seen, it's not about titles, it's not about position. It wasn't about when I saw it. It wasn't about experience. It's about working together. That's what I saw when I was there with you all.
Correct. And what I know coming in and other folks know is that if you're a brand new apprentice, you're a general labor, you can teach somebody who's been in a trade for 40 years.
Yeah.
Right. If you've been in a trade at any amount of time and you say, I know everything, it's time to be done, because you're dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really being able to take that information from somebody who maybe have a better way of doing things
Mhm.
or a better idea, and being able to go, yeah, that's a better idea.
Mhm.
I don't care if I've been here for 20 years or 40 years. That guy who's been here for 6 months just helped me out.
Yeah.
What that does is that builds that person's confidence, saying, I'm a valued part of this member. I'm going to grow up in this apprenticeship, or as a general laborer, I'm going to be valued by this work group. By taking that initiative in, we never want to get to the point where they don't know anything because they're a brand new apprentice or general labor, because we don't want to act like that. Right? If it's a better idea, let's use it.
Yeah. So I do a lot of apprentice trainings and advanced line school training in different locations and stuff. But anyways, what I like in that too, and that's challenging the status quo, basically, as far as the easy way to think about it, is your marriage. So I'm used to doing things a certain way ever since, I was a boy, right? And I grow up, I learn more. So I do it a certain way that's a little different from back then. And then my wife watches me do something. This is how I do it. She watches me and she's like, hey, what if you did it this way? Instead of doing that first, why don't you do this first? It'd be a lot safer. And then approach it from this angle. And I tell you what, that if we can think like that, our spouse, because it takes a lot for the husband who knows everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot to bite the tongue and actually visit in your mind, weigh it out, and visit the steps and the ways that your spouse is talking about. And actually, unfortunately for me, most of the times my wife is actually correct. Yeah. And she's never done it before. Now think about it. She's given me advice on how to do something. She's just observing that she has never participated in with herself physically ever, but yet she's given me sound advice, right? So
sometimes that peer view of overlooking, you can see something that is happening, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're in a zone, you're just focused on what you're doing. Maybe you're not looking to the side. You're not catching things that are maybe dangerous. Somebody looking over your shoulder from the side, they might be able to grab that and say, "Oh, hold on, let's do it different." Like I said, and we need to be big enough to say, "You're right," because sometimes it's hard to listen to your wife, who you think maybe doesn't know anything about the task that you're doing, but they do, right? They want to, because you know why, Brent? Is because they love you and they care about you, and they don't want to see you get hurt, right?
There you go. There you go. And that is the key ingredient. The key ingredient is caring. And when we can actually care about somebody and care about those around us, driving to work. Some of your folks, they probably have company vehicles. they drive home, they drive back to work. Well, we've got the public all around us.
Mhm.
So, but we have to represent the company in that company vehicle. And we have to represent the company when we go out for a steak at your most awesome steakhouse, okay, in Marquette, Michigan. We got to represent the company there. We're off duty, but we still represent the company as professionals. So that's in the until we get to that caring part, man, it's the SIFs. The SIFs are going to continue flatline, man. They're going to
Correct.
continue.
Yeah, we got to continue that culture too. Sometimes you lose it here and there, but it's getting that back and getting the people in a groove again to really care about each other. Like you said, you don't have to be friends outside of here. You don't have to go hang out as families. If you do, great, right? But once you're here, yeah, we want you to be like a family.
Mm-hmm. So I got a question for you, Jamie. So I'm in charge of director of safety for a large utility. Okay. And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because a year ago I had somebody from a very large utility ask me this question. So I'm director of safety for a very large utility, and I'm reaching out to you. Okay. And this is just a one-on-one conversation. I trust you. You're not going to repeat anything. And so I'm reaching out to you because the place I work, the work environment that I work at, as far as a director of safety, it's fairly toxic and it's fairly dangerous. And the folks that I work with, the entire company that I work with, I need you to tell me, how can our company rediscover our why? I need help, man. How can we discover our why?
That's a tough question. It really is. Well, I think we've done it here at Uppco a little bit, right? It's branching off on our own. We're still growing. We're still building, and still working on that why part of it. But really, we look at it as, why do we do the things we do? When I walk through a safety onboarding, there is not one person that has told me the reason I work is because I want to work my life away and work, 24 hours a day. The reason why is because I want to go home the same way I came. I want to go enjoy my family because I like to ski. I like to snowshoe. I like to snowboard. I like to be hiking in the woods. And if I get hurt and I don't enjoy my job, I'm not going to enjoy my life outside of here. Right. So for me, the why behind it is, okay, your why behind work, right? The reason I work safe is because, my family and because of the things that I love to do. And for me, trying to gain that back and understand the human side of it, because sometimes, director, CEO, CFO, they're outside of the realm of the field workers, right? And then they have this separation from that work group, which you no longer have the human side of it. And you start looking at, they start looking more at numbers. And then when you do that, you lose trust. You have incidents, accidents that happen out in the field. And there's a perception that, maybe the company doesn't care about us because we're getting hurt. We're not training on it. We're not sharing these types of things. We need to get involved with our employees, see them, have them see us, and, not be the company. Because when I was on a line crew, we'd always say, well, the company or them. And I'm sitting here going, well, who is them and who is the company? Well, now I can say a name. Well, such and such person is helping make these decisions. Let's have that conversation. Or you hear the union, the company. Well, who is the union, right? And what do they do? What do they care about? We start breaking down those barriers, start seeing people as people and humans, and knowing that they have a life outside of work. I think we're going to be a lot better place, and we're going to build that culture that we want. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen right now. It's going to take time. We still have, some work groups, some areas, maybe some people that feel the same way here, that, maybe the company doesn't care about us, we're unsafe. But that's far from the truth. I've never heard one person in a company say, I want somebody to get hurt. And the other side, I've never had a union person come in and say, I want to break something today. I want to get hurt. I want to hurt somebody else. That's not what we're looking at doing. I want to go home and I want to join my family, my dogs, fishing, whatever it is. But seeing people as that, not just as a work body, seeing them as the whole is going to break down those barriers. That's my opinion. I think that it's worked out well here for us so far. We've got work to do. It'll never end, and it'll kind of go up and down as it sees. But
Yeah,
did I answer your question?
Yeah, man, that's beautiful. So, yeah, so Mr. Jamie, you're gonna spend some time with your family. All right. It's still a little cold there.
It is.
What are you guys gonna do, man? It's the weekend. What are you guys gonna do? What's up?
So currently working on, I've got a little cabin up north, and I put an addition on it last year. So it's been nice. My boys will come over and they'll help me build, and my wife will be there, and she's telling me I need to move doorways 6 inches over because she doesn't like the way it looks. And supervising the project.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. I have one son that's living out of the area right now that I connect with. We talk a couple times a week. Just how are things going? What are you doing? Do you need anything? My other two boys we're trying to get in the habit of having Sunday dinners, just to get together and have those conversations. Everybody gets busy, and we just got to pull together and plan those things. So right now I've been spending my time building and doing work, and I'm ready for that portion to be over so we can do more hiking and get out in the woods.
That's good, man. That's good. But you all have to you got to wear a lot of layers there, don't you?
I'll tell you what, Brent, if it's 40 degrees here right now, it's beautiful. You'll see t-shirts and shorts.
That's amazing. It is amazing how our bodies acclimate. It is amazing. And I saw that when I was there because it wasn't snowing. It was cool, but for you all, it wasn't that cold.
Right.
And you guys were like, I was freezing, man. So, but hey,
blood thickens.
Right. It does. It does. But I like how you thicken the blood between the line crews. And I appreciate you coming on board and sharing with us your skills and your experience and your line wisdom. Your line wisdom is something that, man, it needs to go out there. We'd love to have you come to South Carolina. Maybe a time you and your wife could enjoy the beaches and share a lecture culture of safety, lineman safety national webinar, because your topic is serious. It's severely serious, and it's something that does need to be spread big time.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help out anytime and come out. I think that'd be great.
That'd be great. But you'd want to do it at a time when the beaches are good and, get some sand in your toes and get on the water. So I'm just suggesting. That's all. I'm just suggesting. Okay. But thank you for coming on board and sharing your Liveline story, Jamie. And it's good to know you as a brother and even closer than a brother. And I appreciate your heart and your passion that you bring to our industry. And safety is the byproduct of that. And you all prove it. Appreciate you coming on board, brother.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invite. I think it was great to speak with you, and hopefully able to get some good things out there for folks to think about.
Awesome. Well, you all take care, Jamie. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.